It was a quiet morning in the suburban neighborhood when chaos erupted. Thomas, a white man in a simple white t-shirt and black pants, was enjoying coffee on his porch when he noticed smoke rising from the direction of his garage. Panic surged through him as he ran toward his house, only to see flames consuming the structure. Across the street, a well-known HOA influencer, a black woman in a smart dark professional outfit, stood watching, her expression a mixture of defiance and smug satisfaction. Neighbors started gathering, whispering in disbelief. Someone called 911, but by the time the fire department arrived, significant damage had already been done. Thomas frantically tried to salvage what he could, pulling personal items out through the windows as thick smoke billowed. The community was in shock. An act of arson by someone who held a position of influence within the homeowners association was unheard of. As the fire raged, Thomas could only think of one thing: justice. This wasn't a petty disagreement or a minor altercation. It was a blatant attack on his home, a place meant for safety and family. The black woman had clearly premeditated her actions, using her authority and social influence to intimidate. Thomas's hands shook, but his mind was already strategizing. He knew that he would not only rebuild his home, but also hold the perpetrator accountable. The neighborhood watched silently, a mixture of fear, awe, and anticipation for what would happen next. While firefighters battled the blaze, Thomas documented everything: videos, photos, and witness statements. His phone buzzed constantly as he coordinated with legal advisors. He understood that this act of violence, committed in plain sight, would require more than anger. It would require meticulous legal action. The black woman standing across the street had assumed she could walk away unscathed. Thomas, however, was determined to make sure her actions had consequences. The week following the fire was tense. Thomas, wearing the same white t-shirt and black pants, meticulously gathered evidence, recorded testimonies, and coordinated with lawyers. Every detail mattered, from the timing of the fire to her presence at the scene and her previous disputes within the HOA. The black woman, realizing the seriousness of her actions, attempted to downplay her involvement, but the mounting evidence left little room for doubt. Thomas maintained a calm exterior, even as anger and frustration boiled under the surface. He knew that the courtroom was where the real confrontation would occur. Preparation and patience were key.
It's the statements, repeat evidence statements, it's multiple times. Every excuse that
Influencer might try to present. Neighbors continued to gossip, some sympathetic, some fearful, but all knew that the next week would bring a reckoning. The black woman, dressed in a professional outfit for court, appeared confident, attempting to mask fear with poise. She believed her social influence and persuasive skills could sway the judgment, but she had underestimated Thomas's resilience. He was calm, collected, and strategically prepared, having spent his career learning how to face threats, protect what mattered, and ensure justice prevailed. As Thomas arrived at the courthouse, documents in hand, he could see the black woman waiting in the hallway. Her presence was bold, but Thomas's steady demeanor signaled to everyone that he was ready. The stage was set for a courtroom confrontation where preparation, courage, and truth would collide, and no amount of influence could protect the guilty from accountability. Courtroom doors opened, and Thomas took his seat confidently. The black woman, trying to maintain composure in a dark professional outfit, entered moments later. The judge called the case and the proceedings began. As testimony unfolded, witnesses recounted the morning of the fire, describing her presence and suspicious behavior. Thomas presented videos, photographs, and communications that left little doubt about her role in the arson. The black woman attempted to deflect, claiming negligence or coincidence, but Thomas's preparation made every rebuttal ineffective. He calmly addressed the judge, detailing the damages, the risks to safety, and the impact on his family. His white t-shirt and black pants gave him an unassuming everyman appearance, contrasting with the calculated audacity of his opponent. At a critical moment, Thomas's lawyer called attention to the influencer's previous threats and documented disputes within the HOA, painting a pattern of intimidation and abuse of power. The courtroom grew tense with murmurs from spectators. The black woman's confident mask began to crack. Thomas's demeanor remained calm but authoritative, showing control over the narrative. When the judge asked her directly about her actions, the black woman hesitated, faltering under scrutiny. Thomas's steady testimony, combined with tangible evidence, demonstrated that her arrogance and influence could not shield her from accountability. The courtroom collectively sensed the turning point. Power didn't lie in appearances or social media influence, but in truth, preparation, and integrity. By the end of the hearing, the judge ruled decisively in Thomas's favor. The black woman was held accountable for the arson, ordered to pay restitution, and faced legal consequences for her reckless actions. Thomas's calm and methodical approach had turned a moment of destruction into a story of justice, resilience, and empowerment. Neighbors who once feared confrontation watched as Thomas and his family walked out of the courtroom together, relieved and vindicated. The white man in his casual white t-shirt and black pants had not only reclaimed his home and safety, but also demonstrated that courage and preparation could overcome arrogance and abuse of influence. The black woman left the courthouse humbled, the facade of control stripped away. Thomas's composure, patience, and careful documentation had ensured that justice prevailed. The neighborhood learned a powerful lesson. Intimidation and influence could not triumph over truth, evidence, and determination. Standing with his family outside the courthouse, Thomas smiled faintly, knowing that he had turned an attack into a victory, not through anger but through strategic action, unwavering patience, and the pursuit of justice. The burned home would be rebuilt, and the community would remember the lesson that accountability always finds its way.